In my last video, I was showing you a range of blouse patterns that I was considering to use for the hashtag Sew April Blouse 25 challenge. I chose the Porter top from the Porter woven pack pattern, and I'm going to show you the finished item and what I thought of the pattern. So I'm going to do a quick pattern review. I'll show you my finished blouse a bit later on in the video, but for now, here's the pattern. Like I said, it's the Porter woven pack and it's in style arc. I've had it for quite a while but never made it up. I had actually printed the pattern out and stuck it together maybe well, a few months ago. So I'd already got that stage done. So let me talk you through the pattern. Let me first of all show you the components of the pattern or the variations. It's a really good pattern, this Porter woven pack, because you get lots and lots of variations for your money. So there are 4 bodices. There is a bodice with, well, they've all got V-necks, but there's a bodice with button loops. There's a bodice with ties. There's a bodice with buttons here, and there's also a bodice with a collar and placket. Now all of those bodices can be used for the dress, but only 1, 2 and 3 bodices can be used as tops, because the bodice here with the collar and the placket, there aren't any instructions for a standalone top, although it can be done. There are 6 sleeve treatments. There's a sleeveless option here. There's a short sleeve, which I made. There's a long sleeve with a tab. You don't have to make it the tab, you can just make it long sleeved. There's a long sleeve with elasticated cuffs. There's a 3/4 sleeve, again with elasticated cuffs, and there's a sleeve with a band. So like I said, I made this option. I made the V-neck with the button, just the ordinary buttons and buttonholes, and a short sleeve. Of course, you can actually make the dress as well, and there's a skirt option here. It does have pockets that you can add to any of the bodices, so there are lots and lots of variations. The pattern is available in 4 formats. You can either buy a multi-sized PDF, which also includes the A0 format. You can buy a single size PDF, which gives you the size that you buy and 1 size either side. So if you bought, for example, a 12s, you'd get the 14s and the 10s sizes as well, just in case you wanted to grade or use other sizes for your garments. There's a printed pattern, which you could buy a multi-size, or a printed pattern, which you can buy in single size. So there's something for everybody there. There isn't a projector option for this pattern as yet, but Style Arc have introduced projector patterns, so I'm sure that will be in the pipeline. There are 3 size ranges to choose from. You can choose between a 4 to 16, a 10s to 22, or an 18s to 30. I chose the 4 to 16s after looking at the finished garment measurements online. So the garment measurements are here on the pattern as well, and they range from, I need my glasses on for this, they range from a finished measurement of 33 1/8 inches for size 4 up to a 61 inch bodice for a size 30. And that again is an 84 centimetre for size 4 or 155 centimetre chest measurement for a size 30. So I think the range is quite inclusive there. Also, the skirt is gathered and quite full. So if your hip measurement and your waist measurement don't quite correspond to your chest measurement, I think you'd be able to get away with the dress, certainly, because the skirt is so full. Now, I had bought a multi-size PDF pattern, which, as I've said previously, also included the A0 size. But I was, as usual, glutton for punishment, and I'd already printed out my A4 pattern, or my A4 sheets, and had stuck them together. So I was ahead of the game there. One thing that this pattern does do is there are lots and lots of sheets, obviously, that you can have to print if you're printing the whole pattern. If you just want to sew one of the options or one or two of the options, this pattern is really quite clever, or Style Arc have been really clever with this pattern, because what they've done is separated the sections of the pattern out into their component pieces. So I call them a map. So you get a map of the A4 pages that you need to print, and there's a section for, and it's all in the layering section there as well. So you can print your layers, so you only print the sizes you actually need. But here we've got the back components. So there's the bodice back part here. I think this is the back facing, and this is the bottom facing for the, if you're making the top, for the back of the top. And again, there was a section for the sleeve. Like I said, I just chose the short sleeve, but sorry, a fly just buzzed right past my ear then, gave me quite a shock. That's the long sleeve and the short sleeve. So again, they're all in sections, which makes printing and sticking together so much easier than having 60, 70 odd A4 sheets, some of which you're not going to use. I printed my bodice pieces, and when I looked at them to cut out in the fabric, they looked really quite short. This is my adjusted piece, but it's not a huge amount different from the actual piece. I lengthened slightly from the actual original piece. And to start off with, I decided that I was going to add 4 centimetres in length. Now, for me, I actually used a size 12, I'll show you in a second, but for my size, let's say 14s, the length of the bodice for the top was 17 3/4 inches, and I thought that would be far too short for me. I have got a mum tum, a menopausal tum, and I didn't really want that on show as much as that, because it would have been coming up to around my natural waist. So I actually chose to trim up in the pattern the dress bodice length, which gave me an extra couple of inches. The dress bodice length is 19 1/8 inches for a size 14. So you are getting round about 2 inches longer, which you can see here. The good thing is that it doesn't matter whether you cut the bodice hem here or the dress hem, the bottom facings will fit either version. So that's something to bear in mind if you are going to use the longer bodice. So let's have a look at the alterations that I did on my pattern. I have got quite small shoulders, so I didn't want a size 14 shoulder and sleeve, because I felt that the sleeve and shoulder seam would be coming far too much over my shoulder. So I wanted it to fit quite nicely on my shoulder. So I actually cut a size 12 shoulder and armhole, and also the neck. But then at just under the armhole here, where the bodice side starts, I started to grade out for size 14. I graded out to a size 14 very slightly, and then I'd only printed a size 12 to 14's size for the bodice and the sleeves. So what I did was added on a little piece there. Style Arc do have a standard increment of 2 inches between each pattern size. So I knew if I added 1/4 inch there, I obviously then grade my pattern to a size 16. So I graded from a size 12 here out to a size 16, but left, like I said, the shoulder, the neckline and the armhole at the arm side a size 12, And likewise, I used a size 12 for my sleeve head, so it would fit into the arm side nicely. So like I said, I originally thought that bodice or the top was going to be too short for me. Certainly was in the bodice variation, so I used the dress variation. But I actually thought the dress variation bodice was also going to be too short as a blouse. So I took a bit of a chance and slashed across my pattern just under the end of the armhole and the under the beginning of the neck, and cut right across it, and added in a piece of extra paper and lengthened my bodice by 4 centimetres, and then obviously trued my pattern. And I did this on both fronts and back. As you can see, I did cut this as well, and also on the front facing, because obviously that needed to be lengthened by 4 centimetres as well. So I actually made my blouse or top in 3 separate kind of sewing sessions, if you like, each of a few hours in length. And the first thing I did was sewed the shoulder seams and then added the facings. So the back facing and front facings all are attached together and stitched in. And there's a 1/4 inch seam there, which gives a really nice finish. And then I kind of, when it was all finished and pressed, I tried it on. Obviously the side seams weren't stitched yet, but I tried it on and thought, yeah, it's all right. So then I stitched my side seams and tried the top on and realised that it was too long by about 4 centimetres. Yeah, I've got a bit of a sway, I've got quite a lot of a sway back actually, and tops and dresses do tend to kind of crumple into the small of my back, and that's happening. So I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is just take out this 4 centimetres again, but I'd added it into the bodice itself. So by a little bit of trickery, I don't quite know how I did it, I recut, actually no, what I did, I didn't recut it straight away, I just literally took off 4 centimetres from the bottom of the blouse, as you'll see, but it was literally just taking that bit off, because I matched the pattern piece to the actual fabric pieces, and I realised I could just take that 4 centimetres off, so that's what I did. Yeah, I actually took 3.5 centimetres off because I added 1/2 centimetre because I thought I needed that little tiny bit extra. And if you look at the reviews on the Style Arc website, lots of people have just lengthened the blouse by a really short amount, and it's just to make sure that you cover up that bit between your trousers and skirt and your top, so you're not leaving a bit of flesh exposed. So I did leave 1/2 centimetres extra length than that, but I shortened by 3.5 centimetres. I also shortened my sleeve piece. I took out quite a lot. You can see at the back here, I've got it folded over. I took out about 8 centimetres there because the sleeve really was too long for me and would have made me look really matronly. I prefer quite short sleeve. So yeah, they would have been 3/4 sleeves and I didn't want that. So I was happy with that, treed the sides, and they were the perfect length. Let me show you my finished garment to prove that I do actually sew. I don't just talk about it. Here it is. There we go. This is my porter blouse with the short sleeves. It's got the V-neck. There we go. Yeah, I'm really pleased with this. It's in a nice bright cotton poplin. It's a Rose and Hubble cotton poplin. I'd washed it beforehand, so I know it's not going to shrink. I did actually, I'm not a great one for using interfacing, but I did actually use interfacing on this blouse, and I think it gives a really nice crisp finish. It's a light, very light interfacing, but it's for woven fabrics. The pattern suggests understitching, And if you're making this top, I really would recommend that you follow that advice, because if you understitch, the understitching and the pressing gives the front of the blouse a really nice finish, as you can see there. I need to put my label in the back, haven't done that yet. I did finish in quite a rush. I finished my blouse. It was, we were supposed to finish our blouses and put a photograph on Instagram by midnight in your own time zone by the 30th of April. And I just about got a photograph on at 11 p.m. So yeah, I was actually burning the midnight oil. I'll explain why in a minute. So yeah, that's my finished top. I'll pop in some photographs of me wearing it. I've styled it with a pair of navy linen Albi pants, again from Style Arc, which are my favourite trousers, and some white Converse trainers. And I've also styled the porter with a navy Ponte yo-yo skirt, and I've styled that look with a pair of glitter, gold glitter croc sandals. So what did I think of the pattern? Well, this is a pattern I've been wanting to make up for a long time, since I bought it, but just haven't got round to it. I tend to make knits rather than woven garments. I used to make lots of woven garments and never knits, and now it's flipped. I don't know why, I just find knits probably fit me better. As far as the pattern goes, like I said, there are a huge amount of variations in this pattern, so it really is worth buying. And people do complain about Style Arc instructions. I mean, the measurements, there's 2 pages of measurements, both in inches and centimetres. And there are even lay plans. Now, once upon a time, Style Arc didn't give you lay plans, as you can see here. And on the following page, there's also lay plans. In fact, there are 9 pages of instructions with this pattern. So lay plans again. I don't follow lay plans. I'm a little bit of a maverick. I just don't do it, which is a bit naughty, but I do obviously stick to grain lines, etc., and fold lines. Again, like I said, with the PDF that is broken into sections, the instructions are also broken into sections. So we've got construction for bodice A, construction for bodice B, and lots of nice diagrams there, which are really, really clear. So yeah, we've got bodice C, which is the one that I did, and bodice D, which was the collar. So they're all separated out. So there's no kind of looking round to see which you do next, which step you do next. All the steps for the bodice that you're making is listed. Now, they might be duplicated between the different variations, but you can just look at the bodice that you're making and follow the instructions through. So it doesn't complicate things. And again, the instructions for the sleeves are also broken up. As you can see here, there's sleeve 2, sleeve 3, sleeve 4, etc. And there's also instructions for the sleeveless variation as well. So they are all broken up. And again, like I said, the instructions are complete for that sleeve variation. So there's no kind of, when you've done this, jump over to step X, Y, and Z in another variation. So they really are straightforward to follow. And then of course finishes with the skirt, which I obviously didn't do. So as an experienced sewer, I found the instructions really straightforward, uncomplicated, unambiguous, and didn't have a problem with the instructions at all. One thing I did notice is with the sleeve pattern, I used sleeve number 3, which is the top part of sleeve number 1 as well. So I literally just chopped off the bottom part. There's a notch at the top of the sleeve head and a notch where the front of the sleeve is designated. Now usually in the patterns there's a notch where the top of the sleeve head is matched with the shoulder seam. There's a notch at the front which is usually then again matched up with the notch at the front of the bodice, and there are usually two notches at the back of the sleeve head which are matched up with two notches that appear on the back bodice arm side. But there weren't any notches for the back. I did look again and there weren't any references to the notches at all. All you're asked to do is once these sleeve seams are stitched, they're pressed towards the back of the sleeve. So you can tell which the back of the sleeve is because it doesn't have the notch. So I went ahead, and the other thing is that you are asked in the instructions, you do have to run a gathering stitch around the sleeve head. So usually you would gather between the notches, but there wasn't a back notch, so I kind of had to do a bit of guesswork. I stitched from the front notch all around and ended up about kind of here, but it really was guesswork. So when I inserted my sleeve, I did match this notch to, there's a dart that's actually in the arm side rather than the bodice side, so that seemed to kind of match naturally to the place where the dart appeared. Obviously this notch was aligned with the shoulder seams, and then I gathered the sleeve head in from the centre to the back with the gathering threads and just ease that into the arm side or armhole. Admittedly, I didn't need to gather it a huge amount, but that was the bit that did confuse me a little bit. And I think if you're a new sewist, you might be a little bit confused as to where these notches actually match to on the bodice. Here we are, here's my finished Porter top or blouse that I entered in the hashtag SewAprilBlouse25 challenge on Instagram, just in the nick of time. If I stand up, you'll see that it does fit nicely. The instructions to fit the facing were absolutely beautiful, and it's finished absolutely beautifully just by following the instructions. And my sleeves don't look strange, even though the notches were a bit of a fiddle and a bit of a confusion there. So yeah, they are the right length, sleeves are the right length. I can't really stand up more than that, but if you look at the pictures, the bodice, the top is also the right length for me. You can see that I put white buttons on there. I just thought that white was probably a good choice because I was buying them online, so white buttons seemed the appropriate colour because I didn't really want to match any of the colours of the flowers. One thing I did have a problem with was good old buttonholes. My machine, my trusty Singer, I've had it for 10 years. I use it every single day, and it's had one service since I've had it in 10 years. And I've got a feeling that it needs another service because I had problems with the top buttonhole on the Tevi jacket I made at the end of last year. And I had problems with these buttonholes as well. In fact, this is what held me up, and this is what caused me to take photographs at 11 o'clock at night on the 30th of April. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I did actually get the scissors out and unpick all those little tiny zigzag stitches and redid the top two buttonholes because I'm such a perfectionist. They just wouldn't have, I just wouldn't have been able to wear the top. So I did actually redo the top two buttonholes. I think the problem was I had the plate underneath. My buttonhole foot has a plate underneath it that can attach if you're stitching buttonholes on very fine slippery fabric, and the buttonholes behaved a lot better when I took that bottom plate off. So yeah, I shall remember that in future. One thing I did have to do though is the pattern gives you where the top of the buttonhole is supposed to lie or sort of sit, and my machine likes to know where the bottom of the buttonhole sits, you have to align that. So I had to do a little bit of fiddling and just start from the bottom of the buttonhole. So yeah, that is my porter top. So again, the big question is, would I make it again? Yes, I would. I mean, I've now got the fit right. I know how long the bodice needs to be. I know how long the sleeves need to be. I don't need to fiddle about that anymore. And like I've said in a previous video, once you've done that fiddling around and printed and stuck together and cut to your PDF, use it again, because all that time is saved, the ink is saved, the paper is saved, and all the messing about doing the fitting is already done for you. I've had a surprise package delivered today. I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with it. That'll be my next video. Until then, happy sewing. Bye.